We are talking about the tariffs as if it were um, a game. It's not a game, it's not a war game, but certainly we can use game theory tools in order to analyze this new deal because it's about a new deal and it's about a new deal on the problem. The core of the problem is the balance between the two states. And I mean Canada in the US or Mexico in the US. For China in the US, the situation is quite different. Let's talk about Canada and the US. So we are talking about a balance which is an order of 1 trillion, and the difference between the two states is an order of 40 billions. So the idea is to have something which is an equilibrium, and in order to get that, Donald Trump has this new position with tariffs. So we are talking, of course, also about the drugs, but the idea is to have an equilibrium. And there is no equilibrium right now between the two states. So we can imagine that this will have an impact on the US consumers and, of course, the Canadian consumers. But the difference will make the difference. And I mean with that, the cost for Canada will be bigger. And it's almost the same thing for Mexico. So now we have the, 25, 25, and 10%. And we have as an answer to the 25, 25, another 25 and 25. But the idea is that it's not equilibrated. So when the initiative comes from the US, the impact is much more important against Canada or Mexico than on the other side. So we can imagine that in this game, which seems to be more or less equal at the beginning, in fact, there is no chance for the others. Why? Because in this game, with those rational players, we have for the US a dominant strategy. So no matter what will be the choice of Canada or Mexico, at the end, we know that they will lose. Why? Because this difference makes a difference, and we can imagine with this process that it's also an example, a paradigm, also for the Europe. So we have to learn about this problem and to think in another way than just saying, oh, you put 25, I will put 25. No, no, no. It's not a good option. In reality, we need to consider those countries as a bigger alliance. And this alliance should have in its core something which is an equilibrium. And now we are trying to get that with this manner. Of course, it's not just diplomacy, it's also risk. But we know that when you have a dominant strategy, the risk in reality at the end of the process is not so important, because you can imagine that in few weeks you will have to concede some things in order to avoid these tariffs. And this is a point of view. So we are wasting our time when we are seeing this as a zero-sum game. In reality, we have to imagine something which is more complex, and it is, of course, a Nash equilibrium. We can find this rather quickly, and in order to do this in an efficient way, we have to imagine the impact at the end and not just to consider what is going to be the beginning of the process.